Hello everyone. There we go, that should be better. Hello everyone. Thanks for checking this out. So this is going to be a live stream and podcast here. So I'm going to talk about this idea of one change. But first I'll start out by playing a little bit on the tune. So we're still deciding a couple of the tunes, but we'll work with Days of Wine and Roses as our standard, and then I do have a Latin tune lined up that was recommended by a member here. And so if you have a blues tune that you'd like me to cover, give my take on, still haven't picked one out, so let me know. All right, but I'll start out with a little bit of playing here. Okay, everybody. So, on to this idea of Days of Wine and Roses. So, this is a practice idea and concept. So, what we're talking about here is ways to practice and think about trying to kind of hit things from different angles so that we can learn, or kind of almost kind of trick the mind into absorbing something and being able to perform in a way that kind of gives us smooth maybe lines or whatever outcome we really want, actually. So a really effective way is to take one chord change, which would be two chords. Okay, so So one change is happening when you move from one chord to one other chord. So let's say F major 7. So I'm playing an F major 9 here. See this? So I've got an F major 9. And then we have this E flat 9. So let's talk about that. So what you might do there is take, you can do this with chords. We'll start with chords. Take a chord like this and say, okay, what moves kind of slowly and maybe nearby? Okay, so we're here going from the F major 9. Okay, and then we're moving to the E flat 9, so it has a dominant 7. So we can do a couple things with this. We can try to gain insight by comparing the shapes themselves. Okay, so this one has a major 7. It's a different set of intervals, but it's kind of similar. So we have major 3rd, perfect 5th, okay, and then a minor 3rd. Okay, now this E flat, of course, we're playing in a different spot, but so we're in 5th position here. We have a major 3rd. Okay, that's pretty similar. We have a diminished 5th, okay, and then a major 3rd. Okay, so that 3rd string is 1/2 step lower relative to the root note. So, okay, so we'll practice that change. So, but then since you're focusing on one change, you can say, well, what if we start at the same place and we want to try to get things to go maybe in a different direction? So what if we looked at the first inversion of an E flat 7? So that's kind of simple. Now what if we took that and said, well, what if we want a 9 in there? So we could maybe play this chord. So I'm in 10th position. It kind of looks like a G minor 7 flat 5, right? But we have E flat as our bass note, even though we're not playing it. Okay, so you can kind of go up there, you can play that. Now, what if we put a sharp 11 in there? So we take this 5th and lower it. So that's kind of a cool sound there. So we go up. Okay, so then we can explore that direction. Now, you can go on and on with this and do so many things just with one change. You know, you can work out all the inversions, move from one to the next, do different colors on it, just change the root note, change the fifth, and all that, and really go crazy with it. So it's really like hours of available things to explore there. So we won't go into all that, but that's sort of the concept, I guess, behind this this particular series, which is to give a good starting point for some things to practice. So one chord change. All right, so I'm going to do a little more playing. I plan to do a member update tomorrow. A little bit behind on my week here, but some things I'm just kind of working out is try to get a little bass drum sound, which I might do in here. I'm not sure I'm going to do it right now because I haven't really practiced with it, but it'd be kind of cool to just a little bass sound. Boy, that's coming through real loud. So. Okay, or do something like so anyway, that's a little insight into it. One thing I'm trying to do to maybe add some elements to this more kind of informal setup that I'm doing in my lesson room. But I'm hoping to be back in the my regular online studio down there tomorrow. So I'll do some backing tracks and stuff. But anyhow, let me do a little bit of playing, and I do have some other kind of information that I think folks will find kind of interesting for the exclusive update tomorrow. So some studio things that I'm doing, kind of relating to that as well. All right, so I'm going to play through a little bit. I'll play around with Solar. I was doing that one a little bit last month, so you'll play around with it a little bit. Okay, so there as well. Kind of the idea, is to have a result where you can kind of let your imagination take you on, at least as far as the notes go. Just say if you hear something going a little bit higher, play along with that, and then have access to being able to make a change maybe in mid-phrase, and be able to get kind of inside the changes and all that. So let's take another moment in the tune. So moments that you really want to have great control over on really any tune. Moments like a 5-1, right? So be able to take. Let's talk about a little bit less about chords and maybe melody. To say, okay. So really thinking about maybe taking 4 notes of one chord and then playing 4 notes on the other chord. So in this example, we're thinking about C7 going to F, basically. And if you're just starting out with this, one great thing to do is really work on our arpeggios. So okay, so something like that. And then melodic structures, which we've talked a little bit about. Okay, which we're going to get into that a little bit more in the month too. We're going to kind of keep refreshing and keep talking and hitting these things with different angles. Some melodic structures, pentatonic scales that are kind of specific to chord changes. So in that context, you still do 4 notes, but try to make your way through all 5 notes as you keep repeating that process. So for example, you play so you keep making your way down the range. So every other time try to include the fifth note kind of in the pattern of everything. Okay. Now when you get up to, well, maybe 6-note scales, or even 7-note, especially 7 notes, then you're more choosing the tones, maybe which beats to land on. So and 8-note scales like bebop type scales are really helpful for handling that as well. So taking some tones like, or maybe okay, and just kind of building lines and practicing landing on chord tones on the beats. So you don't necessarily always have to do that, but that's a good practice just to kind of get solid on making those sorts of chord changes and things. All right, so I'm gonna do maybe a little more playing on it, and or maybe I'll play another tune here. Think about it. Another tune, or maybe I'll stick with this one. Or maybe what I'll do is just kind of improvise on a particular change just to kind of illustrate that. So it says to take F to E flat 9 like we talked about. Okay, so just kind of moving around and working between those particular chords. And you can take any chord change and kind of do that. Let's say E minor 7 flat 5 to A7. And then just kind of moving around, and if you kind of get stuck on, oh, what is there, then that gives an opportunity to kind of fill in a little gap maybe in how the patterns are laid out or what you're hearing. All right, so maybe I'll play through a little bit more, and then we'll wrap up for today. So the name of the game here is take Days of Wine and Roses, or anything that you're working on, but we're going to be working on Days of Wine and Roses a lot this month. So work on that, and take each chord change and see what you can kind of do as far as chord voicings and as far as moving from one chord to the next, and see what the results are. See if and sometimes the results take a little time to show themselves, but see if you gain some fluidity there between chord changes, or are maybe able to play continuous eighth notes throughout without any concern about what position you are in. That would be a really good goal or exercise, to have the freedom to phrase through really any chord changes, and stop and start your phrase at will, and those kinds of things. All right, everybody. Thanks again for checking out this talk, and for those of you who are watching the video on the YouTube channel, thanks for your membership. And if you're checking this out on the podcast, consider visiting youtube.com/fretprints, or you can visit fretprints.com to kind of see what's coming out. All right, everybody. Thanks again. I'll see you in the next one.